I know people hate it when I go political, and I'm sorry, but it's too important. I'm just not, like, I have certain values that I really stand for, and I think one thing I really want to make clear is, like, it's not about Bernie. It really isn't. It's actually about the grassroots movement that is behind him. It's about the coalition, the largest multiracial, multi-class coalition in the history of this country. And he's basically a continuation on the poor people's movement from MLK. And so I know that it annoys people when I post it, and I'm sorry. I get it. I'm not trying to be the annoying guy that thinks he's always right on politics. I'm not. But what I do want to do is I want to show you guys stuff that I know the media is literally actively trying to mislabel, to hide it, to smear. I mean, this latest attack on Bernie being sexist, like, are you serious, dude? Have you guys met Bernie? Have you seen Bernie? He's the least sexist motherfucker in the world. So, for me, it's just about exposing people to the ideas and exposing people to his true platform in a way that I think most people don't realize how much they actually agree with Bernie. Because they just hear the word socialist and they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. Capitalism's great. But it's like, dude, yeah, certain aspects of capitalism are great. But then there are other aspects of capitalism that is entirely dependent upon exploitation of labor. Sorry, my throat's a little scratchy here. I've been battling a cold. But the exploitation of labor is like literally built into the system. It isn't unavoidable. It's not an accident. It's a byproduct. And I think people just need to inform themselves a little bit more about really what these candidates represent. And you're not going to get that from some analysis of some, CNN pundit or MSNBC or anybody that's part of the major networks that are all bought and paid for by fucking corporate America. And I think there are a lot of YouTubers out there who, they have their bias 100%, and you have to go in there knowing what their bias is, but they're honest about it. And so they're not trying to pretend to you like they don't have an opinion. They're telling you what their opinion is. But at least then you go into that with with that expectation. So, I listen to a bunch of them. Like, I listen to Michael Brooks. I listen to Sam Cedar. I listen to Kyle Kalinske. I listen to The Humanist Report with Mike Figueredo. I listen to Rational National with David Dole. Like, I listen to a bunch of them, and yes, they're all left leaning. I'm sorry, that's what I believe in. So, I'm not a right winger. Like, I believe that we should put in social programs that take care of people. But that being said, I diversify my opinions, and I don't blindly agree with any one of the YouTubers, but I respect their opinion, and I hear it and I listen to it. I'm like, okay, cool, based on the information, and I'll listen to the same story covered by a bunch of the YouTubers, so I feel like I have a more comprehensive view of it. And they're not all identical. They do have differing views on different things, and they have different takes, and they have different angles that they take, and they're all valuable to me, and they're all genuine. Whereas the pundits on CNN, MSNBC, some of these people that are on there are literally paid operatives of the Democratic Party, which have a vested interest in not letting somebody like Bernie Sanders win, because that means that it's the end of their whole fucking money parade. So, for me, I like to try to inform people of that point of view. Because I think a lot of people who are apolitical, who are just not paying attention, low information voters, they don't know that. They just hear the headlines and like, oh yeah, I don't know, I heard like Bernie's sexist or something. I don't know. It's like, it's so disappointing. And at this point, nothing is clearer to me than the fact that, and people are going to hate me for this, but to me, Bernie's the only candidate that actually I think will beat Trump that really can win the nomination. And I know that there are going to be Yang supporters and there are going to be Tulsi supporters that are going to be like, fuck you, Kevin, blah, 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 blah. I like them, okay? There are aspects that I like about Tulsi. There are things that make me question her a little bit, but there are things I really like about her. And then there are things I really like about Andrew Yang, and then there's things I don't like, But overall, I know they're both genuine, Like Andrew Yang is a totally genuine dude. I completely disagree with his healthcare plan. And I love his idea of basic income. I don't want other programs to get cut in lieu of that, because that won't solve the problem. If you have basic income by itself, which is, I love basic income and I support the idea of it. But if you have basic income by itself and you don't have cost controls built into other things, that $1,000 will go out the window right away. There are other protections that you need to place for people in order for basic income to work and to truly actually give $1,000 in everybody's pocket. But I completely agree with the concept of it, and I would love to see that implemented in some form, in addition to the other social programs that I think are necessary for a functioning democracy. And getting money out of politics is probably the number one thing that we need to do. So I don't want to go too much on like a political rant here, but just know that I am going to talk about politics because this election is way too important. And at this point, there's only one real candidate who's actually standing up for the people. I don't agree with everything that Bernie says. You can't agree with any politician on everything. But he is at least the most genuine, and he's the only person who speaks to the nuance of things. You know, all these debates, the debaters never want like Bernie to connect multiple ideas. Like, God forbid that there are racial issues that are actually directly connected to environmental justice. And, you know, God forbid these things are somewhat interconnected. It's like, what a mind-blowing concept. But like, yes, they're all interdependent. All of these issues are related. You know, you can't solve one issue without addressing another one. And that's what makes things complicated and is kind of, you know, makes your brain hurt. But it's the reality of things. And so that's why, in order to solve the healthcare situation, you also are going to have to address a couple other problems in order to kind of fix all of them. But that being said, you don't have to fix everything at once. You just need to turn a couple knobs and levers of government to make some of these other things work. And that's just what I want to see. And can Bernie solve everything by himself? Of course not. Is Congress going to actively fight against him? Definitely. But is he going to shift the narrative and change the popular position within the American people? Yes. I think he will educate people in a way that if he's president, the media can't ignore him. I mean, they have to cover the president. So they might smear him and make him dishonest or not make him dishonest, but they will dishonestly represent him and misrepresent him. But at least then people can hear it straight from the horse's mouth, and they can ignore the commentators that are purposely trying to, you know, tank his situation and tank everything that he stands for. Because guess what? The owners of this country don't want you to have these things. The owners of this country would rather make a buck than save, you know, people. I read an article the other day that if we raised the minimum wage by $1, it would reduce suicides dramatically. I mean, this is a life and death thing then. And healthcare is already a life and death thing, literally, because it's people not being able to afford their medication, rationing their medication, rationing their insulin, and dying because, you know, they can't afford the ridiculous prices that no one else in the world pays from the same companies that sell it to them. You know, our American companies price gouge Americans, but then they don't price gouge Canadians because they're not allowed to. You know, so there are just things like that I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. How can you be against this? How can you be against helping people? And I get that some people, their philosophy is like, fuck everyone else. I only care about my family. I literally had a dude fucking try to argue that to me on a Facebook post. And he's like, you'll never get me to think communal, which I'm like, all right, bro. But I mean, we all live in a community. I mean, the country's kind of a big community, bro. I mean, I hate to break it to you, but when other people suffer, you suffer. Yeah. Which is why I started the war in Iraq. No, but for real, like when other people suffer, you're going to suffer. So when other people are starving, you know, they're going to act out in ways that you're going to end up feeling the effects of. And I think just realizing that you can't just say fuck everyone else and that it's in your own best interest to help other people, I think eventually we'll live in a better world when that's the case. So I don't want to keep rambling. I've already been probably doing this podcast for too long. What has it been, 30 minutes or so? But I'm excited, guys. Be on the lookout for content. I want to truly make this weekly. So I'm recording this now. I'm going to try to record another one after this before I even drop this episode. So hopefully by the time you're hearing this, I already have another one on deck and ready to go and another one lined up because I want to actually post one most of the weeks in the year. I'm not going to promise every week. Let's be real. Life happens, things happen, vacations, etc. But I would like to get ahead and truly release on a weekly predictable schedule for you. I'm going to figure out what day makes the most sense for me to post for you guys. So, you know, stay tuned to that. I'll update as I figure that out. And this whole year is going to be a learning process. So it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be, this amazing, incredible thing right away. But I think by the end of the year, this podcast will really start to form what it's always been destined to be. And that is going to be really cool. And there's no pressure, man. It's going to happen as it happens, and I'm going to learn what I learn as I go, and I'm going to try to do just one thing better every single time. And I suggest that you guys do that too. And the things that you're working on, don't try to fix it all at once. Don't try to make it perfect. Perfectionism is like a bad thing. It's something that it's one of my best and worst qualities, So just try to do it a little better each time. And eventually that will add up to a major difference if you're doing it enough. So get your reps in, practice, put in the 10,000 hours or whatever. But those hours need to be quality hours. It can't just be a lazy 10,000. You gotta spend it with your whole heart. But I look forward to talking with you guys more. I look forward to having on my guests. I look forward to really expanding what this podcast is capable of. And I love you all. Peace out, heavy mommies. Let's stay on that heavy mommy shit, and let's have a good 2020, man. Peace.